The biggest conger caught on rod and line are usually taken from mid-channel wrecks by charter boats based at places such as Plymouth and Dartmouth. Now, with the boat record having been broken 3 times in the last 9 months alone, and a new shore record, all bodes well for the conger fishermen. And we're here at the moment at Devil's Point, the place that I think of as Britain's top conger spot, and the place where the new record was broken. Now, competition for fishing here at night time on low water neat tides is quite fierce, so we're actually going to compromise and do most of the programme from Plymouth Breakwater. I'm quite familiar with the Breakwater, but my friend here, this older looking gentleman with very little hair, don't let it fool you. He's a really particularly skilled conger man here at Plymouth. Hello, Roger.
Hello.
All right.
Thank you very much.
How you doing? Right. Now, you've fished here quite a lot, haven't you? Tell me a bit about Devil's Point and what goes on.
Devil's Point is right on the mouth of the River Tamar. It's pretty deep water here. You're probably looking at about 18 to 19 fathoms of water.
That's about 200 foot.
That's right, it's pretty deep. Yeah, pretty rocky ledges out to about sort of 30 yards or so, and after that onto clean mud. The tide is pretty ferocious, like I say. It's probably running at about 6 knots on a good sort of neat. So you have to fish it on a neat tide. On high water or low water, probably an hour and a half before the slack water.
So how many fish have you caught from here, of size that is?
Ooh, I've probably had about 5 over 50 pounds, as many as 30 or so over 40, and countless 20s and 30s.
That's a good run. Yeah.
But I've had to put in an awful lot of hours to catch them. And unfortunately, it's a place where you need to come every day of the week to go home with 1 decent fish. Luckily, I live fairly local, so it's not too much of a problem for me to pop down for 2 or 3 hours over the slack water and then away again. So I can get home fairly early in the evening and still have a decent sort of fishing session.
Well, some of us have to travel a little bit further to do that. I'm about 150 miles from here. But I was out fishing on Lloyd Saunders' boat, Salt Wind of Dart, the day before yesterday. I had a good series of eels in the 30 and 40 pound class, and in fact given a good tug to my congering muscle. So today I've actually compromised my tackle a little bit, and I'm using a 12-foot beach caster. This is matched up with a Daiwa sea line reel that I've learned to trust. It's the best reel that I've ever found to work with at night, and I never get snagged up, and I have great faith in the tool. So, quick small plug there for my favourite piece of gear. What are you using, Roger?
Well, I'm using a very fast tapered 12-foot beach caster. I'm using a 9/0 sized reel with 40 pounds main line straight the way through to the swivel, an 8-ounce lead to counteract the tide run that we have here, small link swivel guarded by a bead against the knot, a 9/0 bronze hook. Bronze hooks, when you buy them, are very blunt, so you do have to pay particular attention to sharpen them well before they're used. Simply tied, blood knot at each end. Quickly tie this one on, a couple of turns, 3 turns of a blood. Lubricate the line. Hold tight. Like so, clean off the end, and we're all ready for action.
You're using a 150 pound trace there, aren't you?
I'm using a 150 pounds trace, yes.
Okay, with a 40 pound main line.
With a 40 pounds main line, straight the way through, yes.
I'm fishing with slightly lighter tackle. I'm using a 30 pound main line and a 100 pound trace. I'm also trying this new hook that I've just been given. It's the same size, but it's a much shorter shank. So I'm going to see what sort of success that has down here as well. I'd just like to point out that we're both using bronze hooks. Now, the reason for this is that we want to do as little damage as possible to the fish, and we all know that you can't always get the hook out of each conger before you return it. So at least when you've cut the trace and you return it with a bronze hook, it will in fact in time perish and do less harm to the fish. It's a bit windy here today, Rog. Do you think with this sort of wind that's coming from the north and the tide coming through from the south tonight, it'll affect the fish too much?
I don't think it'll affect the fishing at all. We've got a very neat tide. The tide is certainly going to be fine for the fish. The wind is going to be a nuisance. They can make the rods bounce around a lot. It'll probably make casting a little bit more difficult. We're only lobbing the gear sort of 40 or 50 yards, so it probably won't affect us too much. I think we'll be all right out there.
Probably more sheltered than we are here. Well, we'll see you later on then on the Breakwater.
After dark.
Conger eel is a territorial fish, and while we're fishing from the shore, we're looking for eels in the 10, 20 and 30-pound class. To qualify for membership of the British Conger Club, you need a 25-pound eel from the shore. They like to live around jetties, breakwaters and rocky headlands such as Rame Head, the first peninsula on the Cornish side of the River Tamar. It is important to recce a spot before you go and fish it. Throwing lids and lines at a place where the conger eel isn't going to find food is a waste of time, and a little homework beforehand can pay dividends later.
This looks altogether an excellent spot.
A bait table?
Fine, excellent. This is a bait table. You've got easy access to the water with these platforms again for gaffing. Not too much weed in front.
Greater range?
We've actually got loads of space in front.
Yeah.
We'll be able to fish along the rock edge once again, and quite a big angle out in front, near the ford if we want to.
And it's safe?
Bait table, rod rest, safe. Not going to be no problem with high water.
No.
So
Any room behind us?
I think this is the best spot. I think you and I will fish here.
Okay.
And we'll set Bob and Norman up on the
jetty.
On the jetty. Yeah, that should be fine.
Well, let's put the kettle on and get the rods out.
That sounds excellent.
Well, it's 10:15 at night. The wind's picked up. It's a very good thaw. I'm starting to feel more and more like Mr. Michelin Man in what we're needing to wear out here. Clothing's important, by the way, on an exposed piece of land. I've just been talking to my friend Paul Descombe, skipper of Electric Blue. He's just weighed in an eel today that has equalled the current British record of 112 pounds. That was a nice fish. He was very cagey about it until he'd weighed it up because he thought he had a new record. That makes Paul the first man, or the only man at the present, with 2 eels in the 110-pound class. We've had no knocks yet, but the conditions are right. The water's quite smooth in this sort of particular area. The wind is behind us. I've got both rods out, both with mackerel baits, but nothing's shown a knock at the present time. Roger, you're going to put out another line in a minute, aren't you? So we'll watch Roger's technique and see how he prepares for good conger fishing at night.
I've explained the trace that I'm using. I'm now going to present a fillet of fresh mackerel onto the 9/0 hook. We always cut the fillet away from the head towards the tail, inserting the knife just behind the head, taking as much flesh as we can near to the bone, down to the tail, try to get the hard bit of flesh towards the tail and bring it off quite clean. Now the hook needs to be inserted into the tough part of the tail, into that, and then pulled up over the high eye of the hook and the knot of the hook, like so. We can then slip the hook with a slight bend in the fillet, slip the hook back in, so it's when it's presented, it stays nice and straight with the hook protruding well to the fore. Now to keep that presented, when we cast, we need a few twists of elasticated cotton. Small piece of cotton, and we need to bind the mackerel above the eye of the hook. The hook's there. We bind the cotton above the eye of the hook. It stops the mackerel from sliding down the shank of the hook. So we put a few twists around there, tie it off with a small knot. Trim off the ends with a knife. And I always cut the small piece that's protruding there Always cut that off if you can. That stops the bait twisting in the air. And there it is, nicely presented, hook standing well out of the bait for good penetration on the bite. And now we're ready to cast. We said to start with that we need a powerful rod capable of casting 8 ounces, and the reason is we've now got 6 ounces of lead and 2 ounces of bait, making the 8 ounces. This is a very small bait. It could possibly be a head and 2 fillets of the mackerel, which could be 4 or 5 ounces. So we need a pretty powerful rod to be able to cast to start with. With conger fishing, most of the fish are very close in, so we don't need to cast the bait a long way. I may be lobbing this one about 30 or 40 yards. I should actually be casting along the edge of the rocks here, where I think there may be a conger lurking. We're working on a very narrow platform at the moment, but we have got a nice drop behind us, so I can drop the bait over the back, taking care not to knock Liam's head off. I shall then tell Liam that I'm casting. I'm casting, Liam.
Thank you.
And then we gently lob the bait, small swing, and we lob the bait some 30 or 40 yards out into the spot by the rocks. You have to let the bait settle now. There's not a great deal of run of tide here. But if we hold the rod and just settle the rod for a few minutes until the weight takes a bit of a grip. Tide just bouncing it along the bottom slightly for a minute or so. It's just taken up now. We've got a nice platform here for resting the rod on. That's taken up quite nicely now. So I can use this platform as a rod rest, resting the rod well back. Put the ratchet on, put the reel in free line, so if we do get a bite, we can hear the ratchet taking off line like so. Just tighten that up again. And now, hopefully, we sit back and wait for the fish.
Aha, a knock. Back.
Still there? Gone?
Going back down. I'm on a bit of clear ground for a change, anyway.
Yeah.
With good luck, it'll run. Casting rod.
Okay.
Well, it's a little bit quiet on this end of the jetty. Roger, if you keep an eye on my rods, I'll go and see how Norman and Bob are doing.
Okay, fine.
Well, it's all very quiet on the western front. The rain's starting to come in.
Hello.
How are you two doing?
Well, we're getting pouting bites on this little roddy. You can see just the little taps.
Uh-huh.
And we're using the pouting for live bait. Bob's just had a cracking bite down there. What do you think it was, Bob?
Yeah, bass, conger maybe. Who knows?
It was a very vigorous bite.
Was it?
Oh, it did well. It did take it well, yeah.
Really good run of timid conger knocks at that end, but
Yeah.
nothing major.
Yeah. Nasty little shower. I'll pull over in a minute, hopefully.
Yeah.
You can see the little tap-taps.
It is entertainment. That's a long way to come for a few taps, isn't it, there? I don't know about you. I think I'll go and hide back under my umbrella. Wait until the shower's finished and then we'll have a brew, shall we?
Yeah, good idea.
Good idea, good idea.
See you in a while.
OK.
Much excitement. There's more excitement than we've had for 10 minutes.
Good luck.
All right.
Do you want to wind that one in?
This one.
Yeah. See what happens.
Well, I was sorry to hear that Bob and Norman were quite quiet at the other end. As I sat down, my rod started to knock, and I nearly had cause for a little excitement there, but that has ebbed away. Some extra little bits that may be of use to you when conger fishing, especially at night. All the time that a line isn't in the water, you've got no chance of catching fish. So it's quite wise to actually prepare a few traces on standby, so when you're ready for a changeover, you can just swap them and they're all done. I fish with fresh mackerel all the time. It's the only bait I really like to use. The particular bit I like is a little flapper off the end of the tail with it tied through the eye of the hook. That's as much as I ever use really for the job. But I've always got a couple sitting there for a quick changeover. Torch, very important, all right? Because it does get really dark. And if you're in circumstances as we are here, with the drop-off behind me a couple of feet away, it's wise to take great care where you're fishing. A towel, not only to get the bait off your fingers, but the conger is a particularly slimy creature, and if you're handling him, there's an awful lot of gunk coming off his body, so it's a good idea to carry one around. We're fishing with main lines of 30 to 40 pounds, so I use a leather gardening glove. I've only got one, don't know where the other one went, but it's very good for when you actually do get your terminal rig stuck in the rocks. You can slip it on, wrap it round your hand, pull the line, so you're not causing any strain to your reel or your rod. The penultimate tool, a good set of disgorgers. It is crucial that you make every effort to remove the hooks from the fish before you return them. I can't say anything more on it. Finally, crucial tool, a gaff. This is a homemade one with a, what sort of head is this, Rog?
That's a lash-on gaff head.
A lash-on gaff head. You try saying that for a programme. This is definitely crucial. It's an important tool. I don't have the screw-on type. Reason being is many conger, as they break surface, in a last kind of desperate attempt to hang on there, go into a spinning motion. It's very fast, and they can in fact break your hands doing the job. But more importantly, they can undo the head, and they're off and away, and you've lost your gaff. Good homemade version here by Roger Herity of Plymouth. Mail order only. Over to you, Rog.
Thank you.
Right, with reference to baits, I'm a particularly dedicated and simple man. I like mackerel, and I rarely use anything else. But Roger uses a variety of other baits, and in a variety of ways and cocktails. I've got to change bait on these two rods now, so I'll hand you over to Roger, and he'll explain his stuff.
Well, whilst Liam likes to use the tail of a mackerel, and I've showed you how to present a side of mackerel, there are other ways of presenting mackerel. Probably one of the better known ones, especially from the boat, but we often use them from the shore as well, is called a flapper mackerel. Now with the flapper, we insert the knife into the body, touching the backbone, and slide the knife down the backbone from the head towards the tail, obviously from a safety aspect. Turn the fillet over, do the same on that side, sliding along the tail, taking it off cleanly, and then we need to cut out the centre backbone. There's the centre backbone, so we take that out, and that gives us a flapper mackerel. There's the two flaps and the head. Now that's mounted on the hook simply by passing the hook down through the hard part of the head, like so, out through the jawbone, and there it is. Plenty of guts, plenty of smell in the water. Not a bait you could cast a long distance, but for lobbing in close like we are here, that would be fine. And there's the flapper mackerel.
Oh, good, a flapper. Thank you, Roger.
Well, thank you very much. Just prepared that for me. The conger, of course, don't only take mackerel, there are lots of varied baits that you can use from conger fishing. Nearly every one you've got, for instance, has got crab inside it. And certainly crab is a very large part of a conger's diet. It's not a bait often used by shore anglers, but I've had eels nearly up to 50 pounds on peeler crabs. Edible peelers are certainly the best bait, but by far the hardest to find. Cuttlefish is another good bait, easily available from most sort of fishing ports or fishing boats. A very inky sort of bait to use. You have to wash them out before you use them, and I like to use the head part. If it's a large cuttle, I use half a head with most of the body parts inside, lash them on well with elasticated cotton. And the best thing about them really is they are fairly sort of crab-proof. Mackerel being a soft bait gets easily crabbed, but cuttlehead will last quite a long time, and you can certainly have 2 or 3 good casts, even though it has been sort of crabbed to start with. Other baits, mullet are very good. You have to scale the mullet before you use a fillet of it. Bream's a very good bait. Any sort of oily fish, really. Pilchards I've not had a great deal of success with. Herring I've not had a great deal of success with, although other people have, so I can't say that it's not a good bait. But personally, I've found that I haven't had much success with those.
Casting, Rog.
Okay.
Solid bump on the bottom. Ratchet to run. Star drag very slack. Park it in the rod rest. And wait for that most exciting of noises for a conger fisherman. Nothing more than this. It animates the species. Brings him leaping to his feet. Now we'll sit down for another hour. Bit quiet tonight, Roger.
Very quiet at the moment, Liam, yes. Can't understand why. Got good conditions.
Very hard to make a fishing programme without any fish.
Yes. Well, I'm sure we'll get one before the night's out.
One?
Well, one, several. You know what it's like, you can come tonight.
Part of the game, though, isn't it? It's the weight.
That's right.
As much as anything.
Yes, it is. Especially when you're looking for big specimens. I mean, sort of, I possibly may come every night for a week. And hopefully just looking for the one sort of big specimen.
Big job. Big baits do not always mean big fish, do they?
No, they don't actually, and congers do take quite a variety of baits. Nearly every one you've got has got crab in it, for instance, although very few people use crab for bait.
Yes, yeah. See, I'm on the knock here now.
Yes, you have got a bite, haven't you?
Have a look up there, James. Quick, quick, quick.
That could well be small eely, actually.
Yeah, little eel.
Yeah.
And because I use those tails the wrong way round, I'm always hoping that somebody's actually got a big enough mouth
Yes,
to get hold of the ends of the bait I'm presenting.
Eels have certainly got big mouths, so you shouldn't have any problem there.
It's one of the most timid of takes we've got, isn't it, considering it's the biggest fish we can catch in British waters?
Yes, it is. It's peculiar. It's the hardest thing to tell, actually, with an eel. I mean, you never know whether it's a big fish or a small fish, for instance, until you actually strike into the thing and feel the sort of power of it. And once again, the hardest thing is knowing actually when to strike.
Yes, indeed. Especially as I think it's the only fish, isn't it, that swims backwards?
Yes, it is. Yes, it does swim backwards, and swims backward with a tremendous power as well.
Tending to just carry the bait in what little lips they've got.
Yes, yes, and often trying to turn the bait, which often results in a missed strike, because they often turn the hook upside down.
Right.
Of course, when you strike, you just pull the hook from out of the fish's mouth.
That
does look like an eel bite.
Very timid, very gentle. If I go and grab the rod now and heave, I'll lose everything. So I think we'll just let him sit there until he gets a little greedier. He's no particular size because if he was big enough to give it a tug, he'd actually be taking some line off by gentle pressure, really, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Of course, you don't always take the line off. You could well get 5 or 6 feet of slack line with the fish coming towards you.
Yeah.
I think I may be inclined, having given it a sort of minute or so, to pick the rod up now and actually, still with keeping the reel out of gear, actually,
yeah.
And without putting too much pressure on the rod, just feel and
see where
what
we are.
the fish is actually doing, yeah.
Well, I'm grateful for being far enough out to be on the mud.
Yes.
I feel the weight just bumping along the bottom.
But if you can move the weight with no pressure, then the fish obviously hasn't got the bait yet. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Drag and bump. Leave it to settle down. Let him have another go. I'm fishing a spot that I fished in a boat last November. Perhaps a little irresponsibly, had 4 rods out at the same time. And I got a yield on all 4 rods. I didn't know if I was coming or going. But it taught me a lesson, actually, that a pair of rods is really enough to do the job, isn't it?
It certainly
it's
is.
enough to concentrate on.
You can't handle more than 2 rods, yeah.
But you tend to go, when things aren't going very well, it's a bit of a tendency to throw at everything you've got to try and do the job, isn't it? And it's not the best way to fish. I learned a lesson there. I got all 4 eels, but I was in a bit of a state.
Did you really all in?
Yeah, I got all in.
Did you?
Yeah, knocking my tilly over and, you know, all that sort of chaos. A 30 or 40 pound eel in the dark in a small boat at night is something that you need to be careful with.
Barbie up.
Yeah, there you go, mate.
Wonderful.
Get that down your neck.
Best meals you'll ever.
Excellent. Got one for Roger.
Yeah, there
He's
you
on
go,
the rods. Smashing. See you guys in a minute.
In or out?
I'm coming in at the moment. Get rid of this bloody path of this weed.
Casting. Well, that went to a spot about 70 yards out.
Well, there's
The
definitely
place
an
I've had the
eel.
most knocks this evening. We've been fishing now for 3 hours. 2 of those in the dark. We've got no moon tonight. Pitch black. Should be ideal conditions, but we're having quite a tough time. Had a good knock a while back. A little too complacent with the strike, lost the fish. It's always difficult to know when to strike, isn't it, Roger?
Very, very difficult. Probably the hardest part in conger fishing is knowing when to actually strike.
The whole difficulty being, of course, that the conger actually doesn't have very much lip. So when you strike, you are intending to set your hook behind its jawbone. And it's very hard material indeed. And then I got complacent after losing my fish with my retrieve. And another £2 worth of tackle is sitting amongst the rocks.
The problem with conger bites are they are so varied as well. They can vary from a very gentle sort of tapping to a very fast run. And once again, the difficulty is in knowing exactly when to strike. I've often left eels for 4 or 5 minutes and struck and lost to things.
Some of the biggest eels are some of the lightest and most timid feeders.
That's right. Yes,
I suppose that's why they become big eels.
Yes, obviously.
Round long enough not to have got caught.
They often turn the hook, of course, as well, which is you often retrieve with the bait with the hook reversed. So you actually, when you actually strike, you do pull the hook straight from the fish's mouth.
How many lines you got out at the moment?
I haven't got any out at the moment. I've got a serious weed problem in front of me at the moment, so I'm having to wait until it clears before I can sort of cast.
Did you get any fish there, Bob?
No, mate.
No good at all?
Even the pout ain't getting shite.
Well, maybe there's something big out there.
No, stir them up a bit.
We're here for conger, but bass would do.
Wouldn't break my heart to catch a bass. Wouldn't break my heart at all.
Yeah, I could suffer that.
Doesn't seem to be doing a great deal, does it?
No.
Could be a dogfish.
Bug gonna fiddle.
Yeah. Just put it back.
Leave it sitting there for a while, I think. Leave that one sitting there. And tackle another up. I mess with this sometimes. Sometimes I like to leave a bit of slack and just let it float around.
Yeah,
And other times I leave a little
Slight
tautness on the line. Yeah, exactly. Just to give it a bit of resistance in its own right. I also think conger are one of the few fish at sea that you really do need to strike, because most sea species just tend to hook themselves in their greed, don't they?
Yeah. You have to strike. You have to strike really hard as well.
Yeah. Give it a welly with confidence.
I don't seem to like this cuttlefish very much.
They're not keen on that.
Although I would rather, that would have been my preference for bait.
What, for yourself on toast or something, you mean?
No.
You know.
Given the choice between the mackerel and the cuttle, I'd have had the cuttle, but the mackerel seems to...
Mackerel fishing well.
Yeah.
Probably that sort of one day you get every decade when if we were spinning, we'd catch conger eels. You know, so it's
You've read those books as well.
totally ridiculous, you know.
Well, Rog, 12 hours with one small eel to show for it. I've just about had enough, mate. I love this game, but I want to go home.
It's a bit drastic at the moment, isn't it? Unfortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes.
The forecast tomorrow is really bad. I don't think we're going to be able to get back out on the breakwater. Should we go and fight for some space at Devil's Point?
Yes, I think that would be a good idea. I think I've had enough for tonight, haven't you?
Yeah, let's pull them in.
Right, let's go then. That's good enough for me.
Connects with the plug and has to pull it out.
Never forgets his matches, his pipe's always alight. You know. Oh, it's a marvellous world.
Well, the odds have been stacked against us a little bit on this programme. We were destined for Devil's Point, but there was a major firework and laser show going on in Cornwall, so the place was actually stacked out with people grabbing free tickets. So we've compromised again, and we're here at Mutton Cove, which is probably about the second most popular spot. It's been a quiet hour so far. I've lost an eel because it didn't strike properly and at the right time. Caught me by surprise after working so hard to actually hear the ratchet finally go. But apart from that, there hasn't been any more action, really. And none at your end either, Roger.
No, it's very quiet at the moment. Very quiet. A lot of crab problem here. Crabs are taking the bait away fairly swiftly. So it's just a matter of baiting and checking, and hopefully something will turn up before the evening's out.
Seeing what's going along, and here's our local police boat to make sure we're okay. Well, I've determinedly stuck with my traditional baited mackerel, but Roger's been experimenting. In fact, he's been working with a little mullet that he caught last night, so hopefully that's going to produce some results this evening. It's getting darker, it's getting warmer, the wind backed away and wasn't what we thought, so despite the forecast, we could have in fact ended up back on the Breakwater, which, under the circumstances, might not have been so bad. We shall wait and see.
That is a bite.
Last, at last.
Yes. That is a good bite. Just put it out of gear. Whoops. That's better. It looks like a reasonable fish.
Seeing yet?
No, I don't think so. Oops.
How big a bait you fishing?
Good. I'm fishing a half-a-sided mullet at the moment.
Right.
Bait of which I've had quite a lot of success with. It's a pretty oily bait.
It's a tough one, though, isn't it?
It is a tough bait, yeah, and it withstands the crabs fairly well. Oops. Yeah, this is good. I'll show you that sister's nearly ready to strike, I would think.
Go for it, Roger.
Ferocious battle. All right.
3 nights' work for a fish.
Yeah.
Don't lose it.
That is an amazing pull on that, isn't it, from such long range. Bit of slack line.
Go, 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 go.
It's a great difficulty in knowing when to actually strike with eels.
Get on with it, man. Get on with it. Don't lose it.
Pretty good. I guess we're supposed to be ready to give it a go now, I think. A bit of slack line again. This is definitely on there by now. Right, go. Oh yeah, that was definitely hooked.
You in?
Definitely.
Excellent.
Oh. Little bit of play against the tide here. Seem to be caught around something.
Bloody tide makes it feel like an extra £10 a fish, doesn't it?
Certainly does. We're over clear ground out there, actually, so no need to worry about getting the fish away from the bottom quickly.
Good.
So
Gets a bit mucky in close here, though.
It does in close.
So we better look to the steps to bring it in.
Yeah. We can afford to let it play itself out a little bit in the deeper sort of water there, the clean water. It's not a huge...
bending the rod.
Yeah, it's not a huge fish, but it's a fish, which is good at the moment.
Oh, I don't know if I can stand the excitement. I'll sit down and... A bit of a spin on that one. Yeah, he's a spinner. Nice piece of pumping the rod and winding in as you lower it. It's basically all about keeping pressure on the fish,
It is at that sort of distance, yeah. The time to worry is when the fishes in close to the shore, that's where they normally get lost.
Mm.
While it's out there, you don't need to have any spinning again. Twisted somewhere in its body, I think. That's what the jerking motion is.
I see, yeah.
On the rod there. Just gaining a bit of line now.
Oh, ah, am I hearing him now?
Yeah, she's coming in nicely now. Yeah, it's not a huge fish, but it's a reasonable size.
You get round Bob's line, or shall I bring it in?
I think it'll be all right, actually.
Yeah.
Nice, slow sort of pumping action. Tide's bringing it a little bit close to the wall there. Yeah, she's coming in nicely now. Coming alongside the wall.
Can't see it yet.
No, it's probably still 30, 40 yards out, I would think, at the moment.
Right.
Not putting up too much of a battle at the moment. There she comes, just up on the surface.
Ah, got it. Yeah.
That's probably an eel in about the 20 pounds class, I would think. May have to just drop that line slightly there.
That'll do that.
Got the other side of that one.
Coming on through. Want to swap over?
All right there, please, if we could.
Yeah. Let's go again.
Is that one around?
Yeah.
Is that under your line? Yeah. Okay, fine, thanks.
Okay.
So I can go under you again. All right.
Yeah. Take her up underneath the light. Let's have a look. And then we'll go around the steps after. All right.
Let's have a little bit of slack here, then.
Then over you. This is just the time when something hits Bob's rod.
Normally. There she is. She's just caught on a slight. Can't quite get it out into the...
All right. I'll tell you what, I think we can bring that in by hand, Rog.
You reckon?
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay.
Get me glove, all right?
Right, well,
Okay, Roger, got a glove.
Okay, I think we can lift this one up the wall. It's not worth gaffing it if we can.
Good.
If I walk backwards and you take the main line as I sort of get near the wall,
Okay.
with your glove, you should be able to lift it up the wall nicely.
A little more to your right. Okay, got it.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, God, I hate this bit. Oh, nice fish.
I've got the reel on free spool.
I wish I had arms 18 foot long, though, at this point in time.
Can I help you there?
You can. I've got the whole weight.
I'll take the
You can
trace.
take the trace. Got the weight of the fish? Yep. Okay. And she comes. 20-pound class eel, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite a nice eel. Maybe slightly more, actually.
Could be.
22, 23-ish.
Scraping its way to a Conger Club qualifier.
Yes, not quite on the 25 mark, but not a bad fish all the
Far
same.
adrift. Good. Let us
with the
hope
line?
that is the start of better things to come tonight. Yeah. Not a clean take. See, this is what it's all about. They have no lips and teeth that are designed to crush. And you're a very foolish person to ever put your fingers actually inside that space. Remove the trace. You want to tackle back up again? I'll take her back down and release her.
Fine.
Yeah? Got to drop her over the steps rather than from this height.
Yes.
Right.
That's what we do. Shall I take that trace off?
Yeah.
So.
I can manage with that. I'll just get the de-gauges. All right.
Fine.
Sort it out on the steps. We can't take the lights with us, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just rather.
De-gauges. One torch. Yeah. 22, 23 pound, Roger.
I would think so, yeah.
Okay. Let's put it back. Let it grow bigger.
Liam? Liam?
Yeah?
You got a bite there, mate?
Oh, bloody. It never rains, but it pours, does
Oh, just like it, isn't it?
it? Your fish has gone as well.
That's a decent fish by the looks of it.
Better.
Nice little run there.
Coin Bob Bonus's phrase. Ooh, come to Daddy. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
I would say that's got the bait well down in, actually. All right.
I think so.
Move that out your way a little bit.
She's in.
Good. All right, nice and steady. No problem while the fish is out on the mud. No, it's just see it coming up there. That's not a bad fish. Moving it the line a second.
How are we doing on bits and pieces?
Okay, just spam inside this. I just have to move around this rod a minute.
There we are.
Yeah, that's quite a nice fish, isn't it?
Oh, Roger, I'd like to think that was perhaps an ounce heavier than yours.
Yes, it could well be. Could well be. There's certainly not much in it, anyway.
Settle down.
We'll take that round to the steps, I think. We'll take the gaff just in case it's a bit lively.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah. One tired fish.
Yeah, so it's come up from a fair depth, so it would be fairly tired.
I'll stay up here. Can you sort her out from there,
Yeah,
Rog?
that's fine, yeah. Actually, I don't think we need to gaff that.
Good.
So we can take him in by the trace.
Last kick.
Here he is. Yeah, that's a nice fish. Whoops. As long as you don't fall down with it.
Yeah. Don't put it on your lap.
Yes, that's probably slightly a few pounds heavier than mine, I think. A bit of luck, be able to get the hook out of that.
Touch and go between us, that.
Yes, I should think it
Can you
would
get the
be.
hook out?
Hopefully. Down a reasonable way, actually, but certainly have a try. Right, that's that one out, Liam. I think you can take your trace away there now. We'll be able to return that one nicely into the water without any harm being done to it. And slide that one gently down the steps. It should go away by itself. There he is. Live to fight another day. He'll swim off into deep water in a minute. He's probably quite tired from the exertions of your efforts. Bom. Big gaff in the torch. Can you believe that? 2 fish in 10 minutes. That really is amazing, isn't it?
Well, let's hope that sets a precedent for the rest of the night.
just like angling, you sit for 2 hours with nothing and then catch 2 fish so quickly.
Yeah. I think I'll call that 2 fish of equal weight, Roger.
Oh, what a gentleman you are.
So
I'd have thought
far,
yours was
Joe.
slightly bigger, actually.
Yeah.
But I'll settle for that, certainly.
After 3 nights of banging away, I don't mind a draw at the moment.
I'm going to stick with the mackerel again, eh?
I'm going to stick with the mackerel.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sticking with the mullet.
Tide's running a bit, so I should really stick on more weight, but we'll have a bash for this for a second. Casting. Whoa! And a bird's nest!
Yes.
Look at that one. Oh, it's the first one I've ever had with this. Right, let's try and pull that one. And that one. And
Is that the reel that you
one.
use at night because you never get any trouble with
that's
it?
the one. Yeah. It's, I didn't level wind very well when I was bringing that fish in.
No, it's probably if you get a little slack line with it.
Probably messed myself right
Yeah.
up. Oh, so close, come on out.
You often get a few loose loops when the fish is in close and...
Yeah, it's the pressure coming off it, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Good old Daiwa, there we go. I'm nearly out the muck and millets. Well, let's sit down and have a rabbit while I rewind all this lot.
Yes, okay.
Isn't it time that you put the kettle on?
Sounds good. We had 2 good takes here, actually, 2 very good takes.
Yeah, that usual sort of quandary about when would be the
When
best
to
time
strike, exactly.
to actually strike,
Yeah.
you know?
Probably one of the hardest things with sort of conger angling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very difficult to determine when.
Also, the hardest thing to explain.
Yes, it is.
You know?
It is very hard to explain.
I mean, on a wreck, it's not so difficult. Bang, heave, and pull like hell, you know. But there really is a lot more finesse to it from the shore.
It certainly is. And a certain amount of gas work, of course. You can only hope that the fish is taken
Yeah, that's right.
taking the bait.
I've got the bits out.
Generally, I would say the sort of larger the bait, the longer one would tend to leave the fish before striking.
Yes. Well, I'm running a smaller bait here than I was before, and a smaller weight, which I need with my 30-pound line and bits. Let's have another go at this, Roger. Are we ready? Casting.
Nice and smooth. Good.
That went better.
Tide's been very kind to us at the moment, I think. It's certainly not running at all, is it? It's,
No.
halfway
No.
on the ebb.
But we are on the neeps, which we
Yes.
know are better
Yeah.
tides
That's right.
to fish. Settle down. Start it again. Would you like half a cup of cold chocolate?
That's all you've got, is it?
God, that's revolting.
Bait's held up well as well.
Yes. How's your mullets?
Okay, a couple of slices left. I just have to endeavour to catch some more now to build, replenish my stocks. It does freeze a lot better than mackerel, actually.
It does, yeah?
Very, very good.
Yeah.
It doesn't, the flesh doesn't seem to break off as much as
I think it's
frozen
more crab
mackerel.
resistant.
I think it is. The skin is extremely tough. And, like I say, the flesh does freeze beautifully. You can barely tell the difference between frozen mullet and fresh mullet, actually.
Well, also seems like a very good excuse to have to go mullet fishing before you go congering, really,
Yes, it
doesn't it?
does. Seems to retain its oil as well. You see the oil come off it when you sort of drop it into the water. So it's obviously a great attractor to eels.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not an it's not a sort of ready bait, is it? You do have to make a determined effort to go and catch some.
Well, on those last words of wisdom about using mullet for bait, it's probably time to wrap this up. We haven't caught as many fish as we would have liked to have shown you, but 2 is better than none. So I think we'll call it quits there. After 3 days of struggling, at least we got there in the end. I hope you can make use of this programme. All right. Good night to you.
Good night.